For over a decade, Samsung has been on this incredibly difficult, super expensive, and honestly often painful journey to build its own world-class mobile chip, the Exynos. It's this epic story of ambition, of failure, and this relentless quest for tech independence, a quest that has cost Samsung a lot.
And when I say a lot, I mean the stakes could not be higher. Just in 2024, the part of Samsung responsible for Exynos posted operating losses in the billions of dollars. This isn't just some small misstep. It's a massive financial black hole right in the heart of one of the world's biggest tech companies.
And that brings us to this really fascinating paradox. I mean, think about it for a second. Samsung is an absolute master of hardware. They make those gorgeous screens, the lightning-fast memory, the storage. They make pretty much every physical piece of their phones. So how is it possible that they've struggled so badly to build the single most important part, the system on a chip, the very brain, the soul of the device? So yeah, this story isn't just about one product that didn't work out. It's about a multi-billion-dollar obsession with something Samsung wants more than almost anything else, what you could call technological sovereignty, the power to control its own destiny.
To really get why, we have to rewind the clock a bit. The whole Exynos project didn't start with this grand ambition to be the best chip in the world. Nope. It started out of necessity, really, as a defense against being too dependent on one American company, Qualcomm.
Samsung's first move was simple, and you know what? It was pretty smart. They decided to be a fast follower. So back in 2010, for the very first Galaxy S, they just licensed proven off-the-shelf designs for the CPU and GPU from a company called ARM. The goal wasn't to reinvent the wheel, it was to get a decent alternative to Qualcomm's Snapdragon chips out the door fast. This whole situation created this incredibly complicated, kind of weird relationship. See, Samsung's phone division was a massive customer for Qualcomm's chips, but at the exact same time, Samsung's manufacturing division was a key supplier, actually building those chips for Qualcomm. And then, to top it all off, Samsung's own chip design team was a direct competitor. They were customers, suppliers, and rivals, all at the same time. It's wild. And that right there is the key to understanding these early years. Exynos didn't actually have to be the best chip on the market. It just had to be good enough. Just by existing, it gave Samsung this huge bargaining chip, saving them billions of dollars when negotiating with Qualcomm. It was a strategic lever first and a piece of tech second. But let's be real. Good enough is never really good enough for a company as ambitious as Samsung. By the mid-2010s, they got tired of following. They decided it was time to lead. And this was their big insurrection, a hugely ambitious, and as it turns out, deeply flawed attempt to design their very own custom CPU cores from the ground up. This whole effort was called the Mongoose Project. They poached top engineers from places like AMD and Intel, and in 2016, they rolled out their first custom M1 core. This was it. This was Samsung declaring war on Qualcomm and Apple. But just a few years later, the entire project was quietly shut down, ending with the absolutely disastrous M5 core.
So what went so horribly wrong? Well, if I had to sum it up in one word, it would be inefficiency. The Mongoose philosophy was all about brute force. It's like they built a muscle car engine, just massive cylinders, focused on raw power with zero thought for fuel economy. The cores were incredibly wide and complex, designed to chew through instructions. And for a little while, they topped the performance charts. But that raw speed came at a terrible price. They guzzled power and got super hot.
And all of this came to a disastrous head in 2020 with the Exynos 990. This chip, powered by that final M5 Mongoose core, became the absolute lowest point for Exynos. It was a technical train wreck that made customers furious. The failures weren't vague. They were specific, and they were catastrophic. Okay, first up, voltage. The M5 core needed way more electrical power just to hit its target speeds. And in the world of chips, more voltage means way more power consumption and a ton more heat. Second problem, leakage. Even when the M5 core was supposed to be idle, doing nothing, it was still leaking almost 4 times more power than the standard, more efficient cores on the very same chip. It was like leaving a faucet running full blast in an empty house. And the final nail in the coffin? Sheer inefficiency. For some common tasks, that big, supposedly powerful M5 core actually used twice the energy as the smaller, standard ARM cores to do the exact same amount of work.
It was a total failure of design, and it led to phones that ran hot and had just awful battery life.
But here's the crazy part. That flawed CPU design, that was only half the story. As Samsung was trying to figure out what went wrong, it became painfully clear that the biggest enemy to the Exynos project wasn't Qualcomm or Apple. It was Samsung itself.
Because time after time, promising new chip designs were being crippled by manufacturing problems at Samsung's very own factories. From the Exynos 990 all the way to recent reports about the upcoming 2500, it's been the same story. The manufacturing side of the house just couldn't build the chips well enough or in large enough quantities.
And this created an absolutely vicious cycle inside the company. So picture this. Step 1, the designers create a new Exynos chip. Step 2, the factory struggles to build it properly. Step 3, the phone division, which needs a chip that actually works well, rejects Exynos and buys from Qualcomm instead. And that leads to step 4, the Exynos program gets starved of the money and the orders it needs to get better. It's a self-inflicted wound.
So at the end of the day, while everyone was watching this big public fight between Exynos and Snapdragon, the real, most damaging battle was happening behind closed doors, inside Samsung's own walls. The internal conflict was the project's Achilles heel.
Okay, so faced with all of that failure and internal chaos, you'd think Samsung might just throw in the towel, right? Well, they've done the opposite. They've executed a massive strategic pivot. The entire purpose of the Exynos chip has changed. It's no longer just about powering a phone, it's about winning a much, much bigger war.
So the new strategy is to completely reposition Exynos as the engine for on-device AI. They're pouring resources into the chip's neural processing unit, or NPU, and basically changing the conversation. It's not about who has the highest gaming frame rates anymore. It's about who can deliver smart, AI-powered features like real-time language translation that happen instantly, right there in your hand. But this whole AI focus is actually serving an even bigger goal. In the global war for who actually manufactures the world's most advanced semiconductors, Samsung is the clear number 2, challenging the undisputed king, TSMC. And frankly, Samsung has been struggling to win big contracts from giants like NVIDIA.
And this is where Exynos becomes Samsung's secret weapon. Think about it. How do you prove to the world that your newest, most cutting-edge manufacturing process is ready for prime time? You use it to build your own high-profile, high-volume chip. Exynos is now the ultimate showcase, a real-world stress test for Samsung's most advanced technology.
If Samsung can deliver a successful, high-performing Exynos 2600, which is set to be their first chip ever built on their advanced 2nm process, that's a massive statement to the entire industry. It's the proof of concept they desperately need to convince clients like NVIDIA and even Qualcomm to trust them with their future products.
And just like that, the entire story gets flipped on its head. The Exynos chip, this thing that's been seen as a costly failure for years, has now become a massive, high-stakes gamble for the company's entire semiconductor future. Its success isn't just about the next Galaxy phone anymore. It's tied to the fate of a multi-billion-dollar empire. So the only real question left is this: can a failing chip actually become the key to unlocking Samsung's future?